This is a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.
Good evening. Welcome to the Brighton Central School District Board of Education for Tuesday, November 18th. This meeting is called to order. We have a number of people who would like to speak tonight for public participation. I know that members of the board have received some feedback from members of the community with regards to the Phase 2 capital project. I'll quickly note, and I'm just going to go in alphabetical order for the people who've signed up to speak. There will be on agenda item 9, which is approval of the construction bids, a presentation to address some of the concerns that we have seen. Having said that, I'd also note that we have a community forum at 7 o'clock where we'll also hear concerns, but we have the opportunity for public participation now and have people signed up. So I'll do my best to say the name correctly, and if I don't, I apologize. So I'll start with Mark Arpag from Brighton, New York. And I'm sorry, I'll give the, you can go right ahead to the podium, sir. The way we set this up for public participation is that you have 3 minutes to speak. We'll hear any feedback from the community. And from a timing perspective, Karen to my left here, with 30 seconds left, we'll hold up a yellow sheet of paper, and then when the 3-minute mark is hit, she'll hold up a red sheet of paper, so you'll have a sense for your time.
No whistle?
No whistle.
No whistle.
I can't whistle, and I'm just getting over a cold, so I apologize if I cough. Mr. Arpag.
Okay, thank you for inviting us to speak tonight. I have a couple of concerns. The first one is with the lack of communication. I don't want to dwell on it, but I was surprised to hear about the plans of this, and I would appreciate it in the future if neighbors that are being impacted so closely would be contacted directly. That's my first point. My second point is looking at the plans, it appears that they are almost encroaching on the yards that are nearby, and that changes the whole dynamic of the neighborhood. And I'm not crazy about that design at all. I think more time should be given to redesign, and I'm happy to do that. I coached soccer for 20 years in Brighton, and so I'd love to put my input into that. The third point is that I'm not crazy about the turf idea either. Many people these days are going with real turf, like we have in Batavia, a beautiful turf farm. And my kids love to play out there on the Batavia turf fields. It's safer for them. It's more ecologically friendly, I guess you would say. And it's a happening thing. I was watching football as best I could on Sunday, and I noticed that the game out at Mile High Stadium has a brand new turf field that they're quite proud of. Real turf, not artificial turf. So I understand that this is something happening. It's a lot of money that's being spent on this. I wouldn't mind seeing that money go towards upkeep of a real turf field. And I would consider that a great upgrade to consider that real turf. And that's pretty much all I had to say.
Thank you.
Oh, one more thing.
Okay.
I'm concerned about the material. And, you know, we've been going through abatements, like the town hall is closed because of asbestos removal and so on. How many years down the road is it going to be before we get notified that this is equivalent to a toxic waste dump and we've got to take it up and remove it and dispose of it somehow? And who's going to pay for that? We will. That's it.
Thank you very much for your feedback. It's appreciated. Mark Diggory.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Diggory. I live at 133 Brooklawn Drive, directly east of the proposed athletic field expansion. We understand that the board has already issued a seeker determination. We are not challenging that decision this evening. We are asking for a clarification and for the record to be corrected where the information appears incomplete and inconsistent. During our review of the environmental assessment form, several questions emerged regarding the construction impacts, the long-term maintenance, and the community safety. We plan to submit these concerns in writing so that each can receive proper due diligence. Ensuring an accurate record protects both the district and the community and strengthens the integrity of the seeker process itself. After reviewing the schematic provided by when I reached out to Larry and Kevin in October of this year, you can find that on page 3 of the handout that I provided. After reviewing the schematic provided, I determined that the artificial turf boundary appears to be within 30 feet of ours and our neighbors' property lines. When we spoke with our neighbors, most were completely unaware of the project, its scale, or timeline. On review, we found that most of the communications went through Parent Square, which you can find on page 1 and page 2 of the handout. Many of our neighbors do not use. We also noticed the level of the project detail shared for other capital items, such as the Council Rock Capital Project Phase 2, were not mirrored in the high school athletic fields. We feel this difference directly contributed to the lack of awareness among our neighbors. Our concern is that this design puts hundreds of tons of petroleum-based materials directly along our backyards. A single turf field can require more than 35 tons of loose infill per 1-inch layer. Infill typically derived from recycled tires or other plastics. Given this proximity and the fact that the infill breaks down, migrates, and becomes airborne during both the installation and regular use, community exposure to particulates and microplastics is not a hypothetical, especially considering prevailing winds towards our neighborhood. We also note that New York State's upcoming carpet law PFAS restrictions, which come in effective December 2026, underscore that material safety concerns regarding plastic turf are rapidly coming into effect. Using today's minimum regulatory threshold does not guarantee safety tomorrow. For these reasons, we believe that it has not been demonstrated that the current placement is the safest or least impactful option. I would like to continue if I could. Our request tonight is straightforward. Reevaluate the turf materials, including independent third-party testing for contaminants relevant to New York State regulatory updates. Reevaluate the field placement and identify opportunities to increase the setback from residents with a goal of achieving 100 to 120 feet where feasible. Provide a sincere and public review process of the results that includes an additional well-publicized forum where evaluations and findings can be presented and discussed with the community.
We're over time a little bit, Mr. Digger. I do
you.
thank you for your time, but I need to be
That's the end
consistent with
anyways.
everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Victoria Love.
Okay. I'll pass it down for you. Of course. Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Victoria Love, and I'm here as a parent and neighbor who cares deeply about the well-being of our students and our community. I want to begin by stating that many of the families on Brooklawn Drive and in the surrounding neighborhoods have invested large amounts of their life savings into our homes. We chose Brighton because it's green, peaceful, safe, and healthy, a place where children can play outside and where families can open their windows to fresh air without worry. Now imagine learning that directly behind your home and along your child's walking route, a large installation of synthetic chemical-based turf is being installed. A surface known to shed microplastics, contain PFAS forever chemicals, and reach dangerously high temperatures during the warmer months. Understandably, this raises deep concerns for neighbors who live just a few feet from where this material would be installed, but it's not only the neighbors adjacent to the field who would be impacted. The properties of the synthetic turf pose a problem for all who use the turf and for the environment. And I want to acknowledge something important. In 2023, the community likely voted on the capital improvement project without any clear understanding of the scope and scale of the changes to the athletic fields that would follow. Many residents were unaware that such a significant redesign involving synthetic turf and expanded field intensification was part of what they were approving. Beyond that, when the vote occurred, most of the residents were not aware of the emerging science and new PFAS findings and legislation, or the national movement back towards natural grass. What we know in 2025 is meaningfully different than what voters understood 2 years ago, and it deserves renewed attention. I want to be clear, we are not anti-sport, we are pro-health, pro-environment, and pro-safety for all students, staff, residents, and the ecosystem we all share. Across the country and around the world, municipalities and professional leagues are returning to natural grass turf because 2 decades of research, including major findings published in 2023, have raised serious concerns about the synthetic turf, microplastic drift, runoff, and extreme heat surfaces. Because our speaking time tonight is limited, I want to say respectfully that over the coming weeks, we will be sending several concise emails to both the BOE and the New York State Department of Education. These will outline specific technical issues that were identified in the district's environmental finding, including zoning misclassifications of the neighborhood and the issuance of a negative declaration without clear documentation for how it impacts related to noise, potential lighting, chemical exposure, microplastics, and neighborhood proximity have been addressed. My goal is to simply ensure that the record is complete, accurate, and aligned with New York State's environmental standards. And I'd like to thank you all for your time and your attention.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Love.
you. The handout's just a listing of some of the research papers and also the New York State laws that are in play.
I hope to say this correctly, David Masur.
Thank you very much. My name's David Mazer. I'm a Brighton resident. I have 2 kids in the Brighton schools. My daughter is at the middle school. My son is at the high school. I'm here today to ask the school board to table the decisions around the artificial turf fields and hopefully revisit that decision over the long term. My day job is I'm an environmental advocate for the national nonprofit group Environment America, and we've worked on the issue of artificial turf for many years. My wife and I moved to Brighton about 3 years ago from Philadelphia. We lived in South Philadelphia. You could walk to the vet and the stadiums where the sports teams played. Around the time we moved here, the Philadelphia Inquirer came out with an investigative piece showing that 6 players on the Philadelphia Phillies had died from a very rare form of brain cancer. And Philadelphia Phillies players had brain cancer rates 3 times the national average. And this was correlated to the turf used at the vet, which had PFAS in the artificial turf. PFAS, forever chemicals, is a class of chemicals, about 12,000 chemicals known to cause cancer, immune problems, developmental problems, thyroid problems, as mentioned by other speakers, also release microplastics. Injuries are higher for athletes playing on artificial turf versus natural surfaces. It also creates heat problems. There's a lot of data showing that as well. So I would like the board to reconsider this decision. I work with a whole set of national experts who look at the effects of PFAS in artificial turf. I've been reaching out to some of them today, and they offer to give their insights to the school board if that's helpful about some of the risks and alternatives. I'd wrap up by saying we certainly hear from many of the companies that PFAS is safe or that they have tested for PFAS and have not found levels of PFAS in their products. There is growing data that the testing done by those companies is erroneous. I can share information about that as well, but strongly recommend, as the previous speaker mentioned, that you have independent experts test the specific artificial turf options being proposed to make sure that we're protecting our kids and neighbors who are living near these potential fields. So thank you for your time today, and again, if I can be of any assistance, would love to do that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you taking the time. Rachel O'Donnell?
Hi everyone, my name is Rachel O'Donnell. I live at 145 Brooklawn Drive, right behind the field, and you can see my house and yard very closely to the proposed project. I just want to reiterate what all of the lovely speakers said before me, that we have environmental concerns, that we're very concerned about the new field being so close to our homes, and I do have a set of questions around why the community wasn't notified, and I understand the vote and the process, but I feel like the town is kind of missing from this conversation. I would really like to know why there was no kind of community conversation around this, what was really happening at the time, and why people really kind of in direct line of the field, the new lights, the new noise would not be contacted. As a parent, I'm also concerned about the location of the field. Again, I really support the sports at Brighton, and I love having the football field a little ways down from us, but I'm really kind of concerned about, is that still going to be accessible? As people may know, a lot of children from Brooklawn Drive walk through the field to attend school, so I have a number of questions about green space, the use of the field, the access that the children may or may not have, and also the lack of information that we were given up until this point, which again came from neighbors and not through any kind of letter to our home or any kind of information directly to property owners in that area. We are generally kind of concerned about our property values as well, what the kind of noise and lights from the field might mean as they encroach onto our space, especially our yards. Again, very close. So thank you for listening, and I just want to add to what everybody else has said. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll note, Ms. O'Donnell, if you have some questions that you wanted to email us so we could respond directly, this isn't set up as a question and answer, but if you have some questions that you would like to get some documentation on, we're happy to answer those.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Chris Whitebell?
Hi, I'm Chris Whitebell. Thank you for having this meeting and giving us the opportunity to talk. I live at 68 Brooklawn, and everything that's been said here, I think, they're very well researched, and I back it very strongly. I just want to offer my support to those statements, and I will say, the change of that. What is a green space, which are very precious in communities and used by those neighbors in many ways. Especially my 8-year-old son, he goes and plays soccer there with his friends, and I think, introducing plastic grass instead of real grass is a big shift, and I think that's something you should think about just like in real terms. And I know I also want to share, just as a citizen voting in that 2023 election, there was a lot of capital improvement projects on the ballot, but this was part of it. And I do remember saying, I don't like that idea, but all the other ones seemed really good. So I would have had to vote no on everything, which I didn't want to do. And you end up, it seemed maybe wasn't the best. I wonder if it was its own issue put out there, how people would have voted. And I think, I hope there's more transparency about the rationale, the budgeting that can go out to citizens more actively rather than requiring, I know outreach is important from citizens, but I think given the impact on people's properties and their lives. I think it would be valuable, and I know that's what everyone wants to kind of do the right thing. So I appreciate your time, and I hope I would love to get some questions answered as well. So I'd love to email you.
Yeah, as noted, if you have some specific questions, happy to answer them. It's easier if you were to write them down, if you had the time, so we could respond directly, and there'd be documented answers to any of your questions as well.
Great. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you very much for taking the time. We thank everybody who takes the time to come. It's great for us as elected representatives to hear from the community, so thank you all for your time. Anybody else here for public participation? Seeing none, I will go on. You all have received an advance copy of tonight's agenda. Any questions with regards to the agenda? Motion to approve?
So moved?
Moved by Susan,
Second.
seconded by Carrie Lynn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Also here, we have approval of the minutes. You had a chance to receive the minutes from our last meeting on October 28th. Any questions or edits or changes to the October 28th minutes? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Clayton,
Second.
seconded by Karen. All those in favor? We have some tenure recommendations to approve tonight, which is always fantastic. I'm going to go in the order we have. First, we're going to do 2 administrator tenure recommendations. I will note, and I have the letters here in both of these cases from Dr. McGowan. The formal tenure recognition we will do in June of each year, as we always do, where people sort of get to walk across the stage, as we like to say. But we do want to take the time to approve them tonight. We always have a couple that are out of cycle based on when people started, so that's why you see a couple on the agenda like this. Let me first read for Dr. Mike Malloy, and this is from Dr. McGowan, who's unable to be with us tonight. I'm sorry, okay, I'm sorry, I had to get my spot. It is with the highest regard that I recommend Dr. Mike Malloy for tenure as Director of Student Operations. Dr. Malloy began his tenure in this role in 2023, following his service as an assistant principal at 12 Corners Middle School from 2008. Moreover, Dr. Malloy has served the Brighton community in various capacities since 1995, including as a teacher, teacher center coordinator, club advisor, and coach, demonstrating 30 years of commitment and dedication to our school community. As Director of Student Operations, Dr. Malloy manages student transportation and central registration, drawing on his building level experience to improve procedures and coordination with staff. His strategic leadership has resulted in the development of clear protocols, fostering efficiency and consistency across the district. Dr. Malloy's proactive approach and collaborative spirit have strengthened relationships with students, families, and staff, while his commitment to equitable solutions ensures that every student's needs are met with professionalism and care. These qualities have greatly enhanced our school community and set a high standard for student operations throughout the district. While I am a champion for his work in this role, I offer testimony from our district leaders to solidify my recommendation for tenure. From Ms. Colleen Coggins, principal at French Road Elementary School, wrote, I had the pleasure of working with Mike Malloy for the past 2 years in my role as principal at French Road Elementary School. During this time, I have been consistently impressed by his flexibility, collaboration, and strong work ethic. Whether addressing matters of residency, custody, registration logistics, or transportation challenges involving students and families, Mike approaches each situation with professionalism and care. He is proactive and process-oriented, frequently developing clear protocols and procedures that support consistency and efficiency. Mike's communication skills and positive presence are among his greatest strengths. He maintains a strong relationship with students, families, and staff, and is always a welcoming and reassuring presence during morning arrivals. His calm demeanor and problem-solving mindset have been invaluable in fostering restorative solutions to student and bus driver conflicts. Mike is a dedicated and trusted member of our team whose contributions greatly enhance our school community. From Dr. Danielle Edmonds, principal at 12 Corners Middle School. Mike has seamlessly transitioned from assistant principal to director of transportation and student operations, bringing with him a deep understanding of TCMS norms and systems. He has used this knowledge to develop streamlined, clearly articulated protocols protocols for registering new students, and ensuring that all students are transported safely and efficiently to and from school, on field trips, and during overnight experiences. Mike's leadership is marked by his unwavering support for his drivers and his high expectations for student ridership, consistently addressing concerns promptly and in person. He is also known for his innovative thinking, finding creative solutions to ensure all students have equitable access to transportation, including those attending the tutoring center who previously lacked a way to get to the building. Beyond his official duties, Mike's willingness to step in and help wherever needed sets him apart. Whether it's assisting with the TCMS master schedule or providing coverage when the administrative team is short-staffed, Mike is always the first to volunteer his time and expertise. His collaborative spirit, dependability, and student-centered approach make him an invaluable member of the team. From Dr. Tom Hall, principal of Brighton High School. I've had the pleasure of knowing Dr. Michael Malloy for nearly 30 years. During that time, I've had the opportunity to work with him in several capacities. First as a teaching colleague, then as a collaborative partner when we both served as assistant principals, supporting the transition of special education students from middle school to high school, and most recently in his current role as Director of Transportation and Student Operations. Dr. Malloy's extensive experience as a teacher and administrator makes him an invaluable asset in his current position. He possesses a deep understanding of the daily experiences and challenges faced by students, parents, and school leaders alike. This perspective enables him to navigate complex situations with professionalism, empathy, and sound judgment, providing tremendous support to our high school administrative team. From Mr. Jeff Green, who we'll hear about in a minute, but Director of Student and Family Engagement. Mike has been a great collaborator. We often partner on issues around McKinney-Vento, residency, and the tutoring center, transportation. Since he's been in his new position, he has been the director that I have worked the most closely with. His experience as a building administrator has helped in terms of assisting in building systems as directors. He has a significant history within the district and is able to support or give feedback on new initiatives or times when we've already tried something like it. Based on my observations, the reflections of our trusted and respected administrators, and for many other reasons, it is without reservation that I recommend Dr. Mike Malloy for tenure as the Director of Student Operations. And that was Lou Lima, our Deputy Superintendent, who put that together. So we'll do each of these.
Can we just get a round of applause for Mike? I think he deserves this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. For Mike Malloy. So process focused. Thank you for, do I also read Jeff and then we would do those together? Is that how we do that? Thank you for that clarification. So yeah, our thanks to Mike. We've all known Mike for a while. And Mike, in my experience, also does an exceptional job reaching out and talking to parents. And based on some of the texts we get at times about a bus breaking down or something happening, we get those situations resolved quickly. So this is from Dr. McGowan. Dear members of the Board of Education, it is with great pride and enthusiasm that I recommend Jeff Green, Director of Student and Family Engagement, for tenure in the Brighton Central School District. Excuse me.
You okay?
No, I'm good. From the moment Jeff joined our team, he has made a nearly immeasurable impact. Jeff stepped into a completely new role as one that required both vision and determination to define. Through his leadership, the position has evolved from concept to cornerstone, becoming an essential part of how we connect with students, families, and staff. Jeff has not only grown the role itself, but also significantly expanded its impact on the success and well-being of our students and families. Jeff has quickly become the go-to person for families and colleagues alike, and someone who brings deep empathy, strong communication, and creative problem solving to every interaction. His work is rooted in kindness, humility, and unwavering commitment to each child's success. Whether leading large-scale initiatives such as the Urban-Suburban Family Social, the HBCU trip, developing accessible family resource tools, and coordinating efforts with the Clothes Cupboard, or working one-on-one with students and families in moments of challenge, Jeff embodies the Brighton values of compassion, integrity, and excellence. Jeff's impact extends beyond his direct interactions with families. He has played a vital role in strengthening the connective tissue of our district by bringing together administrators, counselors, and teachers around shared solutions that honor the whole child. His work with the Tutoring Center, resource development to support students and families in need, and family engagement has built bridges between home and school that have improved both communication and trust. He is reflective in his approach, always asking how we can do more, reach further, and serve better. His ability to blend empathy with accountability has made him a model for student-centered leadership. What sets Jeff apart is his ability to see and respond to people's needs in authentic and proactive ways. He is a trusted advocate and caring partner to families, a dependable collaborator with colleagues, and an innovative leader whose work continually elevates our collective efforts. His deep connection to families and his passion for ensuring that every student feels seen, heard, and supported have made a lasting difference in our district. Jeff's steadfast commitment to growth, both his own and that of others, reflects his professionalism and his drive to continuously improve. He is thoughtful, reflective, and incredibly hardworking. Above all, he is simply great to work with, positive, relatable, reliable, and genuinely devoted to making Brighton a place where every child thrives. In his time here, Jeff has become not only a leader in name, but in spirit, a presence that others turn to in moments of difficulty and in celebration. His grounded optimism and calm persistence set the tone for meaningful progress even in challenging circumstances. The programs and system he has helped build will continue to support our students and family for years to come, serving as a testament to his dedication and vision. It is without reservation that I recommend Jeff Green for tenure. His leadership, compassion, and tireless dedication have strengthened our community immeasurably, and I am confident that his continued contributions will only further our mission of ensuring success for every student, every day, in every way. Sincerely, Dr. McGowan. So taking care of today, let's give a round of applause. I don't know that Dr. Malloy is here, but I do believe that Mr. Green is here. Would you be willing to stand up, please, sir?
Hiding.
Thank you very much. So for those two administrator tenure recommendations, just outstanding. You read things like that and you realize how lucky we are to have these people in our presence working with our kids. But with that, are there any questions with regards to the tenure recommendations for these two excellent individuals? Motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Karen,
Second.
seconded by Christina. All those in favor? We are approved. Congratulations, Jeff. Thank you for all the work you do for our kids. Okay. We also have two teacher tenure recommendations that I will read after I take a sip of water.
Sure.
All right, this is a recommendation from Tom Hall, whose birthday it is today.
Oh, happy birthday. We could make him read it.
Yeah.
What other way to spend your night?
Okay. I am pleased to recommend Mary Crowley for a 10-year appointment as a counselor in the Brighton Central School District. Mary recently completed her 3rd year at Brighton High School. Prior to coming to Brighton, Mary was a long-term tenured school counselor in the Gananda Central School District. My personal observations of Mary have clearly demonstrated her incredibly caring, enthusiastic, talented, and extremely collaborative personality. Mary has a tremendous gift for successfully working with all kinds of learners and goes above and beyond to develop positive relationships with her students and their parents. Mary is professional, hardworking, compassionate, super organized, and extremely collaborative. She loves her profession and excels in everything she does. Since coming to BHS, Mary has embraced all things Bruin. She has served as the Class of 2025 class advisor, participated as a chaperone for balls and proms, took students on educational field trips, participated in several faculty and staff events, and served as the counseling representative on mental health program evaluation this past year. Deanna Spagnola, assistant superintendent, shared the following. Mary has established herself as an exceptional advocate for students. She has created safe, trusting, strong relationships with her students and families, assisting them in some cases to navigate challenging and unique situations. Mary honors the voices of her students, making sure that they are heard in any forum. She is sought out by students, families, and staff as a respected and valuable resource to all. She is an asset to our entire Brighton Central School District community. Mary is an asset to her students, to our parents, to the counseling department, and to Brighton High School. As a principal, I am proud and honored to recommend her for tenure. I am confident she will continue to make outstanding contributions to BHS and to Brighton for many years to come. I don't know that she's here, but another person to clap for. Thank you, Dr. Hall, and happy birthday. And this is one for Catherine or Katie Huey, and it comes from Colleen Coggins and Deanna Spagnola. We are pleased to recommend Mrs. Catherine Katie Huey, school counselor at French Road Elementary School, for a 10-year appointment in the Brighton Central School District. Katie holds a Master of Science in School Counseling from the University of Rochester Warner School of Education, Department of Counseling and Human Development. She earned her bachelor's degree in psychology with a concentration in developmental disabilities from Keuka College. Katie is a student-first educator in every sense of the word. Her approach is grounded in relationship building with students, families, faculty, staff, and administration. From the moment you meet Katie, it's clear she leads with compassion, humor, and care. She creates immediate trust through consistent communication, practical solutions, and deep empathy. She brings a lightness to challenging moments, a strength to tough conversation, and a heart as big as her ideas, solutions, and impact. In her work, Katie seamlessly blends skill, insight, and creativity. Whether she is conducting classroom circles, facilitating meaningful social emotional learning activities, or supporting students through behavioral, emotional, or personal challenges, her presence is thoughtful and powerful. Katie uses the relationships she's built to engage students in lessons that are hands-on, collaborative, tech-integrated, and meaningful. Her lessons promote critical SEL strategies in ways that are both accessible and joyful. Katie is especially gifted in working with students who need additional support. She meets students where they are, recognizing that emotional safety and connection must come before academics. She also partners closely with families, not only to strengthen the home-school connection, but to ensure that families feel seen, heard, and supported. She frequently connects students to internal resources and to community providers, including URMC, with care and precision. Along with day-to-day counseling and classroom support, Katie is also an instrumental support to our 12x1x4 program, providing vital care, structure, and guidance to some of our most valuable learners. She brings a calm, steady presence and a deep well of patience to her work with students who require a high level of emotional support and regulation. Katie not only helps students develop critical social-emotional learning skills, but she also models and reinforces strategies that support self-regulation and relational trust. Her ability to read a situation, de-escalate with empathy, and respond with both warmth and structure makes her an invaluable resource in this setting. Her work ensures that every student, regardless of need, is met with dignity, understanding, and unwavering support. Katie brings an innovative mindset to her work. In one memorable example, when a family in our community experienced the loss of a parent, it was Katie who stepped in to create a path forward, offering closure, compassion, consistent and community support for this family. Her leadership in moments like these has made a profound difference in the lives of our students and families. French Road Elementary School is undeniably better because of Mrs. Huey's presence, care, and unwavering dedication. It is with great confidence and pride that we recommend Mrs. Catherine Huey for a 10-year appointment in the Brighton Central School District. And again, that's Colleen Coggins and Deanna Spagnola. Round of applause. There is so much work that's done in our schools every day by people like the ones I've just described, who are just there for kids and meet them as was written where they are. And we are grateful for all of them and grateful that they've chosen Brighton, and feel very fortunate that they have chosen Brighton. So with that, any questions with regards to these two teacher recommendations? motion to approve tenure for both Mary Crowley and Catherine Huey.
So moved.
Moved by Susan,
Second.
seconded by Christina. All those in favor? We are approved, and a round of applause for everybody. Next up, we're gonna get the overall blueprint action plan updates. And I don't know what order going in, but I know we're gonna hear from Deputy Superintendent Lou Lima. We're gonna hear from Dr. Allison Rio, from Deanna and Caitlin and Jeff.
Caitlin and I will go ahead and get us started. So we begin with the area of mental health, wellness, and student support. I'm not going to read this slide to you, but this is our overall goal for the year. Caitlin and I are going to separate this out. I'm going to talk about student support first. So on the first slide here around student support, you're going to see a theme of very specific, targeted professional learning that is happening across the district and has started since the summer before the school year began and continuing right up until yesterday. And I'm going to highlight some pieces, even some pieces that are coming up in the future. Very specific to either specific groups of staff and professionals or to specific programs. For example, the Superintendent's Conference Day, almost all of our teaching assistants participated actually right here in this room in a variety of pieces that are listed there, thanks to the efforts of Assistant Principal Betsy Paddock. Dr. Melissa Heatley came in and spoke to the group as well. And then there was a session on taking data and understanding what data is and how you take that for students, led by Peter Pastilli, our new psychologist over at French Road, and supported by Kira Charlton as well. Just Monday, there was some assistive technology training that was given for some communication devices for our students and the staff, in particular TAs, who are supporting the students using those devices and how to use those systems. So again, I'm going to reiterate the fact that it's very targeted, very specific. And you can see some other pieces listed there. Looking forward to, in December, a team of us from the school district are going to be attending some training on specially designed instruction for students in the special area setting. So our PE teachers, some of our music teachers, art teachers, and myself, and building leadership will be attending for how we support students in those inclusive environments and how to develop strategies instruction in those settings. Continuing on with that theme, coming up, we also this week will have some teams going out to learning about functional behavioral assessments, behavior intervention planning. There also is a theme is how we are supporting our students with social, emotional, behavioral needs in those unique areas and how we can differentiate to meet those students' needs. Very excited. A team from every single building administrators will be joining me and Caitlin on Thursday. Looking forward to that opportunity. Our mental health program eval continues this year. We're going to be leading some student focus groups, and a survey was completed specific to our mental health team. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Caitlin to talk about mental health and wellness.
So this year, the blueprint for mental health and wellness is divided up by students and then staff. So this first slide is about the students. So the ongoing review of the survey data to guide the district in building goals and committee work. So looking at a variety of surveys. Related to students continuing to look at the SEL lessons at each building, and that's really K-12 plus. So some work with the Fisher program looking at the SEL lessons for those students in that transition program and highlighting some of that work related to those mental health transfer goals across that whole journey from Council Rock all the way up to our students who are 22 years old. Aligning that to, culturally responsive practices, as well as tying it back to that survey data. That's that first bullet point. Focusing again on that ongoing communication and education for students, families, related to mental health and wellness and how to access resources, services, and supports. This has been an ongoing piece, and it will probably continue to be in our blueprint. Looking at how do we put things in in newsletters. So we've added a blurb to our newsletter that kind of highlights an area of mental health or wellness and gives families like a little piece to try. Here's a little bit of information about it. Here's something you can try as a family to target that or to think about it differently with your child. updating our website with different resources, making sure that it's up to date. One of the things we focused on right now is making sure that that's current with if you're in need of food or clothing or different resources in this current climate. How do we make sure that families and our own mental health providers are able to connect people with resources that they need? Our ongoing consultations with the different providers that Deanna highlighted, and the Parent University series kind of falls under this umbrella, but also Jeff's. Implementing new systems and structures to reduce chronic absenteeism across all 4 buildings. So this started in the summer and is continuing this year, working with staff, students, and families to kind of increase the understanding of the causes and the impact, and then implementing targeted interventions and strategies. So that's the student part. To support the mental health and wellness of staff, that kind of same bullet of looking at the survey data to drive those building goals and objectives. The district and the building wellness committee are continuing to support the communication and education of staff around mental health and wellness and resources and how to access services and support. All 6 buildings, so again, thinking about the 4 buildings, Fisher, and then this building, continue to provide opportunities for faculty and staff to collaborate and connect, to foster joy and opportunities to kind of support mental health. So different opportunities to get together, whether it's, coming together for lunch or doing things together to, silly opportunities like Halloween costumes or, things, throughout the year, and that'll continue to be a line item to foster joy. And then buildings are continuing to revisit behavior and discipline practices and to make sure that there's that ongoing collaboration and communication, and that goes between building leadership, faculty and staff, and then families.
Any questions for us before we shift to Allison?
Nope.
No, thank you.
Thank you, though.
We're twinning.
Hello, thank you, Deanna and Caitlin, and I'm just going to roll into academic excellence now. So the year has started off, and I'm going to highlight a few of the items from the blueprint that have kind of hit the ground running to start off in this fall. Other ones we'll touch upon as we continue through the year, but in the area of curriculum, we have continued our work that's gone on for several years now around our grade level transfer goal work and curriculum development. And just to kind of touch upon what that is for everyone again, it is looking towards those common goals for our students in all of the content areas and looking at what that looks like across each grade level as students are progressing from kindergarten through 12th grade. So we had the opportunity to spend some time in departments on Superintendent's Conference Day at the 6-12 level, looking at student work and aligning what is coming out of like the student product and how that fits into the curriculum that we're doing in the classroom. And at the K-5 level, diving a little bit deeper into some different breakout sessions around social studies, around technology, around math, and to continue the work in that way. Also at the K-5 level, we've started our math textbook review process. So that's going to go on from this school year into next school year. This school year, we have surveyed teachers to gather some input around what they're looking for in a math textbook series. We've looked at what's out there nationally and within our state. And we're going to bring together a group of teachers in January across K-6 to begin to look at that work and to determine some math textbooks that we can pilot beginning the following school year. We have ongoing program evaluations this year in library, physical education, and then a program evaluation for facts, business, and technology. And Curriculum Council has picked up the integration of the New York State Computer Science and Digital Fluency Standards and looking at how they fit into all content areas across K-12. So we've had one meeting this year. We'll continue that work throughout the year. In the area of instruction, we have a big deal that Dr. Hall has celebrated and will continue to celebrate, but our grading practices handbook was rolled out at the high school. Really big deal. A lot of many years of work around grading for equity, and the work that's been done at the high school has been phenomenal. And we're continuing our work around artificial intelligence as well. So this summer we rolled out a new application, Magic School, to all of our teachers, K-12. They all came to professional development. And students also have the opportunity to begin using that this year. We'll continue that as we go throughout the school year with professional development for teachers in the spring and ongoing throughout. Our district technology team met about a little over a week ago to look at the usage data for Magic School across the district in all 4 of the buildings. and have seen just phenomenal usage from our teachers. So we're going to tap on some of our power users to offer some professional development to our teachers in the spring as well. You'll also see in the academic excellence section, the executive functioning skills are mentioned several times throughout, and the framework for that is really in full swing across multiple school buildings with, you've heard it through principal reports happening at faculty meetings or smaller groups or teaching assistants. Just this past Friday at our half-day release session, had an awesome session with Maria Merlot in the teaching center. So really good work is coming out of that, and more, you'll hear more about that as the year goes on. And then lastly, just the continued focus on professional learning for teachers. I've already mentioned the artificial intelligence piece for all staff. We talked about teachers, but this week we will also bring to central office staff to continue to support office staff and others clerical in using artificial intelligence to help support the work that they're doing around the district. And lastly, our instructional leadership team at the K-5 level worked with our teachers on Power School curriculum and instruction, and they dove into that on our Fall Superintendent's Conference Day. So lots of great things happening and more to come. We'll pass it off now to Jeff.
One quick
Yes,
question.
please do.
The comment is, I appreciate the diligence around math. Our scores have been good, but not necessarily where we wanted them. So I love that everybody's being open to what else can we do, what else can we try,
Absolutely.
sort of across the K through 12. Thank you for that, and all the people you're working with on that. Do you think AI is equal parts opportunity and threat? I mean, is that how you're thinking about that?
That's a big question to ask me here on the blueprint presentation, because I could talk a long time about this, but we're looking at it as opportunity. We're looking at it as a tool for our students and our faculty as one piece to help them kind of continue and grow. How do you take something that's another tool for us to use and put it in your toolbox? If you can take time to spend less time differentiating a lesson plan for different learners in your classroom and more time working directly with students in the classroom, that's an opportunity, right? So just thinking about it as a tool in our toolbox, not a replacement for those things that we want to see for our faculty and our students, like in the profile of a graduate. So that's my quick answer.
No, that's a great answer. Thank you.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
All right, Jeff Green, thank you.
So this is the only time that I thought that I was going to be standing up tonight. So thank you for...
Congratulations on your
No problem. Thank you. I rarely get embarrassed, but I was in that moment. So, but now we're going to talk about something I'm not embarrassed about at all, the family and student experience. So one of the focus areas for student engagement, we are continually trying to work on having students from different age groups and buildings have a chance to interact with each other. We have an amazing mentor program. Michelle Peters, counselor at TCMS, does an awesome job of recruiting student athletes from the high school, bringing them over to TCMS, working with some of our young bucks that are trying to, see they're given the pathway to where they need to go. And there's a lot of growth that's happening, but it's an awesome experience to see the students interact with each other, as well as bringing TCMS students to Council Rock with our little ones to Reedy classrooms, which is amazing. We are also trying to continue to work on student leadership. CCLT is in full form at the high school, and then the student ambassadors at TCMS working towards building culture and climate in the building, providing student voice, having students be a part of the decisions that are happening within the building, which is an awesome opportunity and we love to do. With our transfer students, one of our goals, sometimes we find that students and families from communities outside of Brighton, when they come here, it could be a big cultural shift, a lot of changes, a lot of different interventions are happening, one-on-one meetings with students, check-in meetings with students that are new to the district, lunch bunches, counseling groups. Really just want all of our new students to know that we see them, that we want to get them connected to the district as quickly as possible, and those are happening, and it's been overall a success, and it takes a collective effort. Inclusive language protocol, it's work that we're starting with our partners at BOCES, with Svetlana. All of the buildings are in different spots, but the work has already begun with faculty meetings with staff members or is planning to occur, so more to come with that. And then, especially at our secondary level, continuing to, now that clubs and everybody, sports are definitely underway, but clubs, students have an opportunity to try different things, and the leadership teams are going to continue to work on focusing on students that may not be involved in different clubs and activities, encouraging them, trying to have kids, once again, be connected to school and also identifying students that may not be connected to school activities, but there are a lot of students that are involved in activities outside of school, which is okay as well. We just want kids to be connected in different activities so they can be well-rounded individuals. For our focus area, family engagement, the fall had a ton of welcoming events. I'm not going to read all of those, but a lot of events where students and families are able to come out, connect with each other, to connect with the school community, connect with the larger Brighton community. And they are, Brighton, we were very proud of being a community where people show up and show out. So we look forward to all these events, look forward to having more to come. One of the events that I know that is going to be coming in this upcoming spring at Council Rock, a newer event, STEAM Festival, we're going to be recruiting community members and family members that are involved in engineering, science. So looking forward to working with PTSA on that event at Council Rock. I know Caitlin mentioned Parent University. Parents as Partners is a group that we worked with, and we've had a really good turnout so far with families that have decided to log on. These are virtual meetings on various topics. Families have an opportunity to register ahead of time, and so far it's been positive feedback, but it's really cool that families kind of have choice in being able to decide what different topics they may be interested in learning more about or getting support with. So thank you to the building principals for sending those out in the weekly emails. Dan Goldman, you are the man. Thank you as well for helping to make sure that families are getting the information on a regular basis as well. When it comes to the equity piece, speaking of communication, sorry, before I get to that, also working in partnership with Council Rock and French Road with our half days, making sure that students are getting home safely. So my colleague that also was recognized this evening, working with parents, sending out communication to make sure that no one is left home alone. So we want to avoid that, no pun intended, with the season coming. And then last but not least, registration. Registration, we want to make sure that the process, we're continually trying to work with the process between Mike's team as well as the building registrars. Make sure that families are able to get communication, that similar experiences that are similar, having kids start school around the same time. Always trying to do that to make things easier for, once again, many of our new families that are new to the district. And last but not least, student and family access to opportunities and resources. So once again, this was an event, but it is also connected to the Student Support Fund, the 5K run that happened this fall. We love our partnership with PTSA, and they do an amazing job of, once again, collecting funds and giving each building funds for students and families that may not be able to have access, the financial access to a lot of the paid opportunities that our district has. So that's a wonderful event where they're able to fundraise, and it goes straight to our students and families on a pretty frequent basis throughout the school year. So shout out to them. The Brighton Food Cupboard, I know many of our community members saw the messaging a couple weeks ago with the challenges in the government and whether some of our families had access to food. Our community has really stepped up to do that. I know that the Brighton Food Cupboard really appreciates our partnership with them, but we appreciate them and what they're able to provide for families. So we've gotten a ton of donations in the buildings from families, not only at the building level, but also to give food to the Brighton Food Cupboard. And we are just, once again, really thankful for being able to provide that resource for our families. Also, when it comes to the weather getting warmer, or excuse me, colder, I wish it was getting warmer, it's getting colder. And the winter coat drives that are happening in the building levels, but also with Brighten Your Wardrobe. I was just with the family right before this meeting that came to get some clothing for their family. So that's something that we're also very proud of, and we want to continue to do that. So shout out to the community. We are still taking in items, so please continue to bring some of the winter wear items and making sure that they're in good condition so that we can make sure that our families are getting really high quality products. We appreciate that. And then also plans for Brighten Your Wardrobe to visit BHS to, this started last year, to have students have access to it. Typically, when students and families are going to Brighten Your Wardrobe, it's a pretty, private thing, but we found that last year when we brought clothing to the schools, there are a lot of students that also like the opportunity to be able to go get items, and we want to be able to continue that. So once again, it's all about access to resources for our students and families. So that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Lou?
Good evening. In the area of operations, I created kind of a new logo here. These are our three big rocks that we'll be focusing on and evaluating and executing strategies. Safety and security obviously is paramount to our operations. Facilities planning, addressing emerging needs within our buildings, and then human capital piece of it. And we'll go through some of what we've been working on right now. I've invited our Director of Safety and Security, Teresa Mosier, here to speak directly to her work in the safety and security area. So I'm going to have her start and address the left-hand column. Welcome, Teresa.
Great, thank you. So we're pretty proud of several of the things that we're implementing this year. The first of which was our new visitor management system, Visitor Aware. Our goal being that we would make our school buildings more secure by having our visitors do self-sign-in within a secured area so they sign in prior to entering our buildings. I'm proud to say that is up and running with the help of the building principals in every single building within our district at this time. Another program that is brand new to us, but you've likely heard over the past year or so, is the TAP app. And I'm proud to say we have fully implemented that now. We finally completed testing across the district. It took a little time to work out the kinks. All staff are signed up, or close to 100% of our staff is signed up for the TAP app now. This app will allow us in any situation, emergency or minor situations in which we might need to just bring students inside and have a shelter in place. It allows us to communicate with all staff members, whether it's maintenance, transportation, teaching assistants, cafeteria staff, everybody involved, so that we can update everyone in real time about what's going on in every situation. But even more importantly, it improves our ability to take real-time attendance with students, to have instant accountability, and then to also carry that over with our staff. Is our next goal is to have real-time accountability in any situation so that everybody is safe and accounted for in any of the situations that we may need to deal with on any given day in any building. Our reunification is something that was brand new for us that we started over the summer, reunification planning. We trained roughly 140 staff members across the district through I Love You Guys training. This, if you're not familiar with it, assists us with reuniting students and parents in the event that we might need to evacuate a building. Let's say there's a gas leak at the high school and students aren't able to return to the high school. We have the ability to plan and map out how we can safely reunite students and their families in the event that we aren't transporting them home. In addition to that, we were able to work with the Temple Birth Kodesh and our community partners, BPD, Brighton Fire, and Ambulance, to map out utilizing that space as a community partner if, in fact, we ever needed to utilize that to reunite students and their families. We just completed that this month, and now we are working with building principals to build our reunification teams, which also is a part of that process. So that piece is in the works. Our shell card, which encompasses all of our emergency responses, working with the building principals, just doing common planning across that to make sure that all of us are aligned in how we respond to any specific emergency across the district. And then new this year was DASHUS laws, which is the regulation that stated that districts need to build cardiac response teams in every single building. Again, partnering with building principals, we were able to develop a cardiac response team for each building, and embedded within that, we took it one step further to ensure that we have many staff members that are trained in AED and CPR. So right now, all of our security staff are, our maintenance staff, I believe they are all fully trained now. And we will continue that training process year after year so that we have more people to draw upon, in response to the building those cardiac response teams. And then, as always, nurses and coaches are all required to have those certifications as well. And then lastly, as part of the blueprint, we always want to monitor how we're doing and collect that data so that we can always improve our safety and security protocols across the district. One such program that we continue to utilize is LineWise, and that's monitoring student activities online to ensure they're engaging in safe activities while utilizing our devices within our building and then outside our building. And that allows us to have real-time response to any concerns or concerning behavior that students might be engaging in. Similar to that, another safety program that we utilize, Safe Schools. I'm sure you've heard of that as well. This is where individuals can call in anonymously, or they can call in or email in their concerns, and then it allows us to have a real-time response to address any concerns across an array of categories. And again, the building principals do a great job of assisting us with monitoring that, but also being the frontline individuals that are addressing those concerns with students and families. Along with our TAP app, the partnership is kind of a co-program is CLIPS. Within CLIPS, that is where we monitor all of our threat assessments that we engage in, also anything to do with workplace violence, and then any suicidality. And so we are collecting a lot of data in there so that we can monitor our mental health, monitor what's going on within buildings, and ensure that we're doing the best we can do to meet all those needs and take proactive actions to prevent some of these situations from arising. And then lastly, we are using Incident IQ for the first time this year as a safety and security platform where all of our security staff across the district daily will enter any safety or security concerns that they see during their shift, whether it's a window that's been propped open, a broken door, somebody was able to get into our building without a badge, a whole array of concerns, so that we can monitor that, but also monitor it in real time and address it. I receive an email for every incident that's put in there so that they can be prioritized to what needs to be addressed, but also that we can pull out that data at the end of the year to see if we have any glaring concerns that we really need to focus on as a goal for improvement as well. Any questions about safety?
No, just very happy with the focus we have on it and that you're leading that effort, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so for our other two big rocks with facilities, one of the things we're going to talk about tonight is the ongoing master planning and the continuation of the phase 2, the 23-24 phase 2 project. And transparency is that we're not able to achieve all the work that was presented to the voters in February of 24, so we need to reprioritize some of that work and seek reauthorization, and we'll talk about that in the next slide. One of our second area is improving our collaboration with our buildings and grounds, our maintenance mechanic services, and our building principals. And I appreciate Director John Novelli being here today. He's going to spearhead that strategy, making sure he's connecting with the principals on a regular basis, so we're optimizing resources, we're addressing things before they turn into capital projects or emergency capital projects. So improvement in communication and collaboration in that regard. And then long-range master planning. With this, with the awards of the 23-24 project and the Council Rock Phase 2 project, we've really completed all the ongoing work that was contemplated in the 2017 capital improvement project. So now we're in the process of building with our stakeholder groups the next 5 years, the next 10 years of what those master planning looks like. So we're having those meetings with our design partners and putting pen to paper on what our priorities are and how we'll be allocating future capital dollars. On the human capital piece of it, our strategy is succinct in that we want to retain and recruit the best, right? So part of that is what do we have to offer, and offering competitive benefit packages. This year we've opted into a bunch of voluntary benefits to give people choices, again, to be an employer of choice. And we're participating in a teacher recruitment day, and teacher shortages are really nationwide, but in particular in New York State. So what our strategy is, we want to get in the ring, compete against other districts, and have candidates choose us. And we have to market ourselves and sell ourselves as a top employer and invite people to help us continue to build something special here. So that's our focus on human capital. With the capital planning considerations, this is the remaining scope that's not included in the bids this evening that the board is considering. So you can see the scope that needed to be deferred based on price escalations and some design concerns. So what I highlighted there is the middle school reauthorization for the main office. Our objective at the time of referendum was to relocate the main office from the current second floor down to the first floor and build a secure entranceway to that. We're having design challenges with that and trying to preserve the environment of our beautiful atrium in that building. Our priority is still to create a safe and secure vestibule like we've been able to achieve at Door 20 at the high school and at French Road and Council Rock in their first phase. So we need to continue to allocate dollars to meet that immediate program objective, but we really want to look at how do we best utilize that space and optimize the dollars. You could see down in proposed scope, do we want to consider leveraging that? The middle school of all the schools is probably the most constricted for space with program expansion needs. So there is an opportunity in the site plan to expand classrooms. That would come at a cost of about $2.5 million. So looking at building more of a master plan for the middle school specifically as we continue to build the long-range master plannings for the high school and French Road. With that, any questions related to operations?
We'd have a longer discussion about reauthorization and that scope at a later date, correct?
Yes. Just planting the seed now that, as of right now, we're not able to afford all the work that was included in that initial referendum.
Okay. And that's due to just conditions in the market or, okay, the bid process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. A lot going on. Questions with regards to any of that? You obviously had a chance to ask any questions for each of the presenters. Our thanks to all of you. Our blueprint, as we will always note, is available on the website with updates on there from time to time, and we appreciate everybody being able to check that and you all updating us on a regular basis, as the principals do each month as well. Next up, we have approval of some second read policies. Each of these policies you received at the last meeting for a first read. And I will say each of them out loud. Policy 5661, non-instructional / business operations wellness. Policy 7224, students virtual instruction. And policy 5840, non-instructional business operations artificial intelligence. Questions or edits with regards to any of these policies? Motion to approve the second read policies as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Carrie Lynn.
Second.
Seconded by Sue. All those in favor? Aye. We now have approval of construction bids, as Lou alluded to before, for the 2023-2024 Phase 2 project. But based on some feedback from the community, Lou has put together a slide deck to be able to possibly answer some questions or concerns that came forward. So Lou, we'll start with that when you're ready.
Good evening. Thanks again. We appreciate the opportunity to present some additional information in support of the district's recommendation to award construction contracts this evening.
Hey Lou, I'm going to note that this presentation is available online for people as well. Will be?
Dan, has this been posted?
I will not.
Okay.
Okay.
We were working on it just as, as
That's
we
fine.
were monitoring kind of community concerns and things, we were trying to put together as much information, but this will be initially put out there and then certainly will be open to feedback and questions and provide any additional information. I want to disclose, I'm certainly not a scientist, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not a doctor. So we're presenting the information that we considered as we made the recommendation to the Board of Education at this point. So, and again, it's trying to be responsive to the community concerns as we've been monitoring them. So our project timeline, we had been talking about development of the sports fields globally since the sale of the Brookside. We said we wanted to use that money from the sale, and we really wanted to achieve two things. This was prior to December. We wanted to change the entranceway at the high school parking lot, and we wanted to invest in the fields globally. We said that's what generally we wanted to do with the proceeds of the sale. In December of 23, we formalized our capital project priorities and plan for the board's consideration. As we were prioritizing the scope of that work, we were obligated to do the seeker, and we did a full environmental review, completing all three parts of the environmental assessment forms, and that was approved by the Board of Education in December of 23. We had a couple of presentations in the month of January, including a community forum and a public hearing, and we mailed to all members of the community a flyer inviting them to participate in the community forum 7 days prior to that. So that 23rd of January, all those flyers were mailed. And then the voters went to the polls on February 7th of 24. We understand there was some questions about the capital project flyer and everything that was posted on the website at the time of referendum and what was actually submitted to the State Education Department as our permitting agency. So at this point in time, prior to a capital project, we cannot formally engage the architect and engineers to design the project. They obviously have to do the environmental review, and that's understood pre-referendum service, but we can't design it. So they generally throw out a conceptual, and they identify the acreage that would be disturbed for the environmental review. So once we have architecture review, we have a contract in place, then we invite the program stakeholders to help build it and identify what all the program objectives are, everything they want to achieve in the space. So I understand, the concern from the time of referendum. You can currently see there was a lot more green space in this section and the way we reconfigured the field, which I'll address in the next slide. I absolutely understand what the concern is. So the reason we did that was the three primary design elements. One, we wanted to optimize the usage opportunity, right? We wanted to create as many opportunities for kids to play outdoors as long as they possibly can. So we reconfigured it to be able to achieve, and I apologize if it's small for those in the audience, these are all the sports programs that we're able to achieve with that. We have a couple of pinch points with the location of this, considering where the stormwater management area is. We have a pinch point where the stadium is right here. We certainly have a pinch point with the property line right here, and with the parking and the tennis courts area down there. So that was all considered as the site engineer was laying out these options.
Just with your arrow, will you quickly point out the modified baseball field, which isn't called out specifically here because it's untouched?
Yes, sir. Yep, so it's down in this corner right here. So we did want to preserve that. That is a grass field that we're trying to preserve as well for our baseball program.
Could you also tell me more about the stormwater management area, what that looks like?
Yes, so this area up here is going to be designed to be the stormwater, and again, I'm not an engineer, but this will be natural landscape area, naturally growing landscape. There'll be a wooden fence around it like you would see at a park, and it'll be natural growing grasses and really undisturbed area in this area. One of the benefits of that is likely our science programs will be able to use it. It'll be a natural habitat in this area back here.
So that fence would have egress of some sort?
Yeah, because it's going to be a swell, right? So that's going to be there's infrastructure in here for that's required for the stormwater mitigation. Okay. And as far as access to the facility from the neighborhoods, we are certainly contemplating that too, and we want to make sure there's a barrier in there, to separate all this. But students coming from the neighborhoods here and where the easement is, I'm sorry if I'm not pointing to that right, but we want to make sure there's pathways for our walkers to get onto the campus too. So that was contemplated as well. But again, you could see all the program that we were trying to preserve and but our actual design challenges in designing this field. So that's the difference from pre-referendum schematic design, taking it all the way through construction design and submittal to SED.
And that is a function of regulation. If I'm harkening back to my experience with the Phase 1 in 2017, we were able to present conceptual design, but that we were voting on the idea of the project. The state does not allow the architect to render actual designs until after the referendum passes?
Correct. We could do things like master planning or specific pre-referendum contracts, but you can't start designing the project until you have voter authorization to do so.
Thank you.
So the reasons that we recommended turf and synthetic turf was identified in the seeker documentation. It was specifically cited in the seeker documentation, and it was consistent in our practices. So we made a purposeful recommendation to choose synthetic turf over grass for these reasons that you would generally see any school district or many of the school districts around Western New York. The weather resistance, the playable in extreme conditions. You think about our sports starting in March and the limitations. So our athletes are in our gyms, they're in parking lots. This provides an opportunity. Those are where we do plow the stadium field, and we would care for this field in the same way that we're taking care of our stadium field. The unlimited use, again, and maximizing opportunities for kids, and then the lower maintenance costs compared to natural turf. So as we were contemplating investment in just rehabilitation of our fields versus synthetic turf, campus construction, our construction managers had prepared analysis for really all their clients of the pros and cons of turf and versus natural turf versus synthetic turf. So we were making a business decision as well, thinking that we're going to be able to reduce our long-term maintenance costs. Okay, so we understand the concern, and this is a slide that acknowledges the concern. PFAs, as I was told to say it, but it may be PFAS. So excuse me if I interchange those. But this validates the community concern about previous tests and different case studies across New York. There is, to be fully transparent, pending legislation. We researched the bills both in the Senate and the Assembly that are proposing a ban on turf fields, pending more comprehensive testing. Both of those bills are in committee right now. They currently do not have any co-sponsors, so they're kind of halted in committee right now. Certainly, we would work closely with Assemblymember Clark and Senator Cooney's office as if there was any development in that. As we work towards actual construction. From the seeker, the State Environmental Quality Review, again, the district was obligated to complete all 3 parts based on the disturbances of acreage, not only at Brighton High School, but also at French Road. Because you remember the site work is inclusive of the parking lot, kind of the redesign of the parking lot, the entranceway, French Road site work. So the contract that's being considered tonight has site work related to all of those components. So the seeker is obviously prepared by our architects, our site engineers. It's thoroughly reviewed by an environmental attorney when it's presented to the board for the board to make a determination. The results were a negative declaration was issued, meaning an environmental statement is required. And the district will obviously coordinate with all agencies. We're obligated, there's no exemption to not comply with any regulations from that. So obviously we will monitor everything closely to ensure compliance with all regulations. So tonight's action is to approve the bids for the 23-24 Phase 2 project. So that includes scope of work at French Road, at the middle school, and Brighton High School. So some of the contracts that are being presented tonight are commingled in scope. For instance, the site contract has the parking lot, the entranceway, has French Road, bus loop, as well as the site improvements and rehabilitation of the high school. And there's an alternate that's being considered tonight, which is the selection of the artificial turf provider. And there was a couple choices that the district had in doing that. So that's the action of the board tonight, is to consider those bids, whether to accept those bids or reject those bids. What's next then? Once the board approves the bids, then we enter into contracts with each of the respective prime contractors, and the site contractor is a prime contractor, and they will begin responding to the design. They will submit all of their material requests. Everything has to be submitted and reviewed. So we will continue to monitor all the material submittals, which again, reviewed by the architect, engineers, and construction manager. And again, based on the timeline that I talk about there, we have to enter into a contract first before we can determine schedule. But site work and the improvements and all the foundational work can begin as soon as practical. But the turf installation is likely, the earliest that could probably happen is the summer or the fall of '26. So there is, as things evolve or there's something was to happen, we would be able to respond to that to, again, ensure compliance.
Do you mean changes in regulation or state law?
Correct.
Okay.
So the turf company that we're recommending is the same turf company that maintains and that installed our stadium field. It's A-Turf. I provided the link so people can view, the product specifications, and then their provider or supplier, Ecor Athletic. I put their information there, and certainly we reached out to them to be able to prepare, additional information that was requested by the board about, the concerns with PFAS. And on the right-hand side is an example of their, data specification sheets that are included in their on their website. And again, we can be fully transparent with any material that's going to be installed. All the data sheets will be publicly available and able to be reviewed. One of the, as we talked with them and as we expressed, shared the community concern, A-Turf's response, and I was, as you would expect, they have been committed to testing, and they had a letter dated back to '21. So the PFAS issue is not a new issue, and it was contemplated at the time of the seeker. I understand, there's always emerging sciences and things like that, but we stand by the recommendation at this point, and will continue to address community concern, as any information becomes available. And again, these letters were provided by A-Turf and provided by their suppliers. So this is not district testing. We just asked for, is there any materials or information that you have that would offer reassurance that there is testing going on, and what the results have been as we're considering you as our potential turf manufacturer or provider. And this is what they were able to provide. So I'm simply just sharing the information that they had, understanding that there may be questions about the testing and things like that. I respect and appreciate that. Just sharing what was provided in support of recommending them as our as the alternate provider, alternate bid to provide turf field.
And that's alternate because there'll be a subcontractor of the contractor we approve for the site.
Correct. Our contract will be with DeFiore is the recommended site contractor.
And then they contract with the turf
Correct.
provider.
That's the material that they will procure, and that will be their subcontractor installing
It's
the
just
field.
a funny way to express it, alternate bid. It makes it sounds like it's an option. Does that make sense?
Correct. Correct. It was we structured it as alternates so we could evaluate the cost and the product design for the two most common turf field providers in the state. And A-Turf and Field Turf, Shenango, are the two most popular, prevalent in both college stadiums, professional stadiums, and high school, public school, private school, K-12 fields.
Do these companies only install a synthetic turf, or are there other options from these companies?
I only understand that they install, these are our synthetic turf providers. We did not have a bid that contemplated grass because we had made the programmatic decision for a synthetic turf field.
And that's what our constituents voted on, right, was for synthetic turf when we put it to a vote.
Yes.
Right.
Again, people may not have necessarily, but
Yeah.
that was in our materials, and that was definitely identified in our seeker
Right.
Seeker review.
Can I go back? Is this a good time for questions? Can we ask? Are we at the question slide yet?
You're my boss's boss, so.
I want to talk about expansion of program, if you will. I'm going to reference another thing that's come before the board about the possibility of changing start times and being able to run multiple practices for athletic teams at one time would better make that possible on the future. If that's still on the table, that's a piece we need to move forward, the ability to run practices, so we're not having kids practice until 10 p.m., right?
That
If we
absolutely
only
wasn't our
have-
response to the school
Right,
study,
so-
is to provide those opportunities to not push activities later.
So in the fall and in the spring, there are times when we only have one field available for practice for multiple teams. So I would reference boys and girls soccer, field hockey. That's our current football field, right? What we refer to as
stadium
the
field,
football
the
field.
what we-
It's
the stadium field, that's what we
Okay,
call it,
our
yeah.
stadium field. I won't call it the football field.
Because it's used by lacrosse, soccer, field
Sure.
hockey, football, yeah.
Homecoming.
And for both the men's team and the women's teams.
Correct.
So
on all fields.
that's an excellent point, because that was part of the committee's recommendation for site improvements, so that was,
Right, so like as a long-term plan.
yeah, that was part of our long-range plan.
If
Then
I
we
can
sold
run-
Brookside and helped find the resources to at least
Right.
check that box as,
So instead of 4 practices back to back to back, I can run 2 at a time, let's
Correct.
say.
Now, I want to be clear, this project does not include the installation of lights. However, it does include the infrastructure, should the community want lights in the future.
Right.
So
But-
that's part of the electrical
But
bid.
even during the day when we have natural light, we can run 2 practices where in the past we could only run 1.
Correct.
Which gives us potential to make other programmatic changes, not just to extracurricular athletics.
Correct.
Okay.
I think your point is well taken, because we have to, think back to where this discussion came from. This came from feedback from the community, a lot about access and opportunity for, more children to get involved in physical activities. Because even the girls, JV and modified, softball teams were being bused to like the swampy area behind French Road Elementary School, and so it became an equity issue, that was brought up in some of the community feedback. So,
Agreed, I will add that we also had a shortage of gym space because in rainy situations where you could be outside if the fields weren't muddy and,
Right.
because if they got muddy and sort of destroyed in the preseason, it was hard to get them to come
Yep.
back. They'd become unplayable surfaces. And there was equity with regards to gym space as well, because we were constrained on which school had a gym space for a hockey, field hockey, soccer, softball, baseball team to practice.
I'm sorry, Lou, can you just make that point again about the lights? We're putting in the infrastructure.
Correct.
That's the plan, yeah.
So
But
that
not
if the
plan
community said in the future, we do want
that we
lights, we haven't
vote
got
on
to
it
dig
later.
things,
Right.
the conduit and those things will be in place.
Similar to what we did at Council Rock Primary School.
Yeah.
We put in the infrastructure if we ever needed to build up. So we just made it a possibility in the future, should that be
Something we wanna
considered.
do, yeah, as a community,
Correct.
yeah.
We just want to, this is our only opportunity to do that without, disturbing, this particular investment.
I have a couple more questions about process, if that's okay?
Sure.
My recollection, correct me if I'm wrong, is that once the community has voted for the referendum, we're obligated to follow through in some way, correct?
My understanding, again, not being an attorney, but if you present a scope of work and you do not complete that scope of work, or, in a material way, then that is a basis for a challenge of the bond and could jeopardize the tax exempt status of the bonds that are issued to pay for this.
Okay.
Because what I would say is I would not have voted for it had you said I was not going to include the turf field. You know what I mean?
And
So
then my next question is about.
you have to do what you say you're going to do with
Right,
a
is
capital
about
project.
timing.
Succinctly.
We have the bids for this project, as it was proposed and voted on in early 2024, almost 2 years ago. If we were to delay, can you give an idea as our business official what that might do to our cost? If we decide to delay now, but then we have to do some work because that's what the referendum proposes. If we delay, what potentially does that do to the costs we're asking the community to take on?
So if the bids were rejected, that's kind of your option right now, accept the bids, reject the bids, they're only good for 45 days.
Okay.
So if the board was to reject the bids, we would have to take time to understand, the basis of rejection, how you would like it redesigned, so there's gonna be some redesign time and cost associated with that. The greater risk is the escalation of prices and the timing. likely we would miss our window of construction if we went out at a non-optimal bid time. You know, so if we bid again in June, let's say, you miss all that summer work for the site contractor, and now you have another year escalation of prices.
And you
in
think that
construction.
that's a definite possibility that prices escalate, things being what they are?
I think it's, if our construction manager here, they probably would go on record and say they absolutely would escalate. I can't, you know, assure that, but I mean, I think that's a fair assumption, is that they're gonna escalate, giving the increases in, you know, prevailing wages, material escalation, and mostly the wage escalation and the wage shortage and the competition. Again, site contractors, there's a lot of work out there for site contractors, and there's a lot of work out there for electricians. So, you know, to be able to have a top quality site contractor that can meet the scope. Again, this is a pretty extensive scope of what we're asking a site contractor. There's only really a few players in the public sector that can do this work. You know, we may miss the opportunity of working with them. They may not be able to bid, you know, at a later date.
I also put out there that I'm more concerned about the availability of contractors a little bit more than I am about materials. We know Webster, Canandaigua, and Pittsford have turf projects that are going, so I'd be concerned about passing on something for a period of time and losing a window that might be 26 and having that turn into 27 or 28 based on the availability of people to actually do the work. Trades have a pretty tremendous shortage. Electric's the worst, but others are out there. Other questions for Lou?
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lou.
We now are up for approval of the construction bids for the 2023-2024 project. Any other questions for Lou before we put that out for vote?
I don't, I feel pretty satisfied.
Okay. So motion to approve the construction bids as listed in your materials for the 2023-2024 Phase 2 project.
So moved.
Moved by Karen?
Second.
Seconded by Clayton. All those in favor?
Do we have to call separate?
No?
You don't, just all in favor for
All in
yes?
favor? And opposed?
One opposed.
Thank you. Next up, and I'll note for the record that we're running a little bit late. I apologize. I got us started at 5:20, so that's my fault. And so I'll apologize for that. We'll go through the rest of the agenda. What I will say to the board quickly is we'll hold our reports until the next meeting. I want to make sure we hear on the other reports. And then we'll just sort of work through this. First of all, approval of the financial report dated September 30th, 2025, and the treasurer's report dated July and August 2025. If you've had a chance to review those, we received those in advance. Any questions with regards to those financial reports? Those are approved separately. Motion to approve the financial reports.
So moved.
Moved by Christina?
Second.
Seconded by Carrie Lynn. All those in favor? Samantha, you've been very patient. Thank you very much. You probably got a lot of homework tonight, but we do want to hear from you.
Thank you. First quarter has officially ended, and we are now in the second quarter of the school year. BHS math team had their second math meet today, November 18th after school. Crossroads Yearbook won 3 awards from Syracuse University, including silver in Best Overall Yearbook, bronze in Best Overall Layout, and bronze in Best Overall Cover. There was a Natural Helpers Retreat for students to gain more problem-solving skills on November 13th through the 15th. The BHS had their play for the Crucible November 14th and the 15th, including a performance during the school day for the junior class on Friday the 14th. Diver Alyssa Hellman won Monroe County Diver of the Year and is going to states this week. Our football team won sectionals for the second year in a row. Boys cross country team won Section 5 championship. Girls swimming got second in sectional finals. 5 athletes signed to commit to college athletics next year on November 13th, including Kitu Badesha, Sarah Bogomil, Carly Giebel, Charlotte Goldfeder, and Delaney Wilson. And JV
and varsity winter sports started on Monday, November 17th.
Wow.
A lot going on and a lot of success. Thank you very much for being patient tonight, Samantha. We appreciate it.
I know that time is of an essence, but can I reference our former student representative, Dagny Johnson?
Okay.
Who just won 7th place, which is actually a big deal. You place 1 through 8th in fencing at the November National American Conference. She's doing an amazing job collegiate fencing. I just saw that yesterday, and I thought we should have a Dagny moment.
Good Dagny. All right. Let's do it for Dagny.
We'll be able to say we knew her when.
Yes,
She
that's
does.
correct.
100%.
That's worth it, so thank you for that. BTA, Kristen Halligan, please.
All right, it's been a busy October, early November. Mrs. Allen's first grade class, students learned a new math strategies, including the turnaround rule for addition, and they practiced their number facts to 10, creating Halloween spider web art to apply that learning. And in their arts and letters time, they explored why books mattered, studied libraries, story structure, and created narrative projects featuring characters visiting library settings. At French Road, 5th grade teachers Lizzie Eden and Corey Gottfried continued their 7th year of writing letters to honor flight veterans on their 93rd mission to Washington, D.C. Students researched veterans from the Cold War or the Vietnam War and wrote personalized letters that will be delivered to the veterans during mail call on their flight to D.C. In visual arts, 3rd graders have been exploring color theory, creating simple landscape collages. In 4th grade, they used their creativity to do robot drawings that would be able to help themselves, their families, their communities, or the world. They explored imaginative design and purpose-driven thinking while envisioning how technology could help make life better for others. And then 5th graders continued with the project I reported on last month, their name logo design. This time they carved into clay tiles. Slabs were used to carve into, and then they added features using the coil rolling method. They worked on increasing accuracy and precision as they glazed their work carefully. At 12 Corners Middle School, they had a fun event outside for French 8 students. They competed in a cours de café recreation, which is an annual event in Paris where the waiters race, they can only walk, with a tray with all the essentials in the tray. So the students took part in the side field on a beautiful sunny day. In English 8, the students finished reading Okay for Now, prepared for a visit to the Memorial Art Gallery where they were to analyze artwork and explore resilience through art. PE finished up their CrossFit unit, and students trained using velocity-based programs, practicing muscle-ups, bench press, and zombie squats with new measurement technology. 7th grade band hosted a guest clinician, Michael Struzik, who helped with students on concert repertoire and music fundamentals such as articulation and tempo. Social studies across the building was busy with Miss Voss's class learning about water access and Israel's drip irrigation system during a visit from this year's Shinshanim, Itai, and Yael, and then created homemade irrigation systems. Andrea Bergio and Beth Sawyer took their 1214 class to Seneca Park Zoo for habitat learning and zoology presentations. In 8th grade social studies, students compared media manipulation techniques from yellow journalism to today and rewrote headlines in a culminating activity. Fulbright scholar from the Philippines, Jeffrey Honrado, taught a lesson on the Philippine-American War in Mrs. Forkin's class. And Fulbright scholar Miss T from Indonesia taught the 7th graders about Indonesian language, culture, government, and traditions, and all the kids had a chance to do a little aura farming dance at the end of the presentation. At Brighton High School, Jake Provenzano, English teacher, received the Golden Apple Award. He was nominated by senior PJ Finn and received a surprise celebration, which his family was also able to attend. Suzanne Crowley and Rachel Rivera coordinated the visit of 14 students and 2 teachers from Asturias, Spain. The students got to take some local excursions, visit classes, and other cultural events, and Brighton students will visit Spain in February. In the field of athletics, Christopher Stuff was recognized for strong organization and supervision of athletics while also coaching soccer. And Jason Wasserman was acknowledged for district-wide scheduling of gym, turf, and pool facilities. The Fashion Club, led by Louisa Brooks and Honesty Tate, is busy preparing for their spring fashion show and December pop-up, and they've been holding mini lessons on hand stitching and sewing machine skills. And district-wide, the ENL department held their international potluck picnic at Buckland Park. Again, we were blessed with beautiful weather. More than 100 people attended, grades K through 12, and sharing cultural dishes and able to connect across languages.
A great report from Esther. She stopped by there. Esther stopped by there.
Yes,
Said
she
it was
did. Yes,
awesome.
she did.
So that was great.
I'm sorry, this is totally out of line, but I thought it was really important to share that we just found out today that Ms. Halligan was named the New York State ESOL Teacher of the Year.
Very impressive.
That's about a perfect interruption. So appreciate it. Okay, PTSA update, Dr. Castillo. Dan.
Good evening. I'm at Council Rock Primary School. Families enjoyed a movie night on October 17th featuring Lilo and Stitch. The event had excellent turnout and was a fun opportunity for families to gather and connect. At French Road Elementary School, our courtyard coordinator, Melissa Staloff, is partnering with the local Girl Scouts to involve them in maintaining the Frez courtyards. The troop held their first cleanup day in October. Frez also hosted several popular community events, including movie night on October 9th, where families watched WALL-E, and a full series of bingo nights. I won't go over each date. A big thank you goes to our event chairs, Jade Woodson and Lindsay Dava, for organizing these fun evenings. The PTSA also launched a winter wear and book drive that ran from October 20th through October 31st, with collection bins placed in the school foyer. In addition, the PTSA provided treats for the October 27th staff meeting, and a makeup picture day is scheduled for November 12th. Was scheduled for November 12th. Looking ahead, families are invited to a family night at Bounce Hopper on November 21st. Admission will be free with pizza, snacks, and drinks available for purchase. Parents must accompany their children for the event. The PTSA is also seeking volunteers to fill 2 open roles, hospitality chair and art chair. We encourage anyone interested to please reach out. At 12 Corners Middle School, October featured several events, including the 6th grade activity night on October 17th and staff hospitality for the October 27th staff meeting. The 7th grade activity night will be held on November 7th with a pajama party theme. At Brighton High School, there will be a game night tomorrow evening with a swap table for students interested in exchanging games. District-wide fundraising events are off to an excellent start. A calendar and spiritware sales are performing well and remain on track to meet our annual goals. Our community fundraisers have already surpassed expectation, reaching our goal of $10,000.
An amazing partner for our students and our families, so our thanks to you on behalf of the entire PTSA, so thank you very much. Next up, we have the consent agenda. There's personnel changes, recommendations from the committee both on special education and preschool special ed, some field trip approvals, and some approvals for fundraising activities. Any questions with regard to the consent agenda? Motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Carrie Lynn,
Second?
seconded by Karen. All those in favor? Prior to adjourning, a couple quick things really quick. First, our thanks to Luce, Mike, and Bill for making this meeting accessible via video. Thank you for our tech and support crew. Again, happy birthday to Tom Hall. Our next meeting, which is December 2nd, is at the Brighton High School. So I just note that's one of those ones we do on the road. We go to our schools each year. Finally, I'm making a game time call here. Because we started late, I'm showing 7:10 right now. I'm going to adjourn in just a minute, but we're going to start the community forum at 7:30. So I'm going to start 30 minutes past its scheduled time. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. With that, I would put forward a motion to approve to exec session to discuss some personnel matters.
So moved.
Moved by Karen, seconded by Clayton. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
This has been a special presentation from the Brighton Central School District Board of Education.